Sometimes what feels like a closed door is actually the hand of God protecting you from something you couldn't see coming. Life has a way of surprising us with disruptions, things that interrupt our plans, change our routines, or bring confusion to what once felt certain. It's easy to view these moments as setbacks or failures, but more often than not, these are divine disruptions, God's quiet and powerful way of shielding us from dangers that lie ahead. There are times when everything seems to be lining up perfectly. The job, the opportunity, the relationship, it all looks good on the outside. You start to move forward, expecting blessings, expecting progress. But suddenly something shifts. The door slams shut. Plans fall apart. What once felt clear becomes cloudy. In those moments, frustration rises. We ask, why did this happen? Or why did God let this fall through? But behind every no, behind every blocked path, there is often a greater yes. God's yes to your safety, your future, your calling. God sees what we cannot see. He knows what's around the corner. While we look at what's in front of us, He sees the full map, the hidden pitfalls, the dangerous detours, the traps that look like treasure. When something is blocked, it's not because God is punishing you, it's because He's protecting you. What looks like a delay is actually divine interception. He steps in not to destroy your hope, but to preserve your destiny. It takes spiritual maturity to realize that not every no is negative. Some rejections are blessings in disguise. Some unanswered prayers are the greatest gifts of grace. We don't always understand why something didn't work out. But if you look back, you'll find moments where you were spared heartache, regret, or harm because God intervened. What felt like disappointment was actually divine defense. When God disrupts your plans, He's not trying to confuse you, He's rerouting you. Like a GPS that redirects you when there's traffic or danger ahead, the Holy Spirit does the same in your life. You may not hear a loud voice or see flashing signs, but the detour is just as real. And if you trust Him, you'll realize He's not taking you off course. He's keeping you on the safest and most secure path for your soul. The challenge is that divine disruptions don't always feel divine. In the moment, they can feel painful. We might wrestle with doubt, feel like God is silent, or think we've missed our chance. But heaven's protection rarely comes with explanation. God isn't obligated to give details when He's delivering us. Sometimes the shield comes in silence. The door closes without warning. The plan changes without consent. And yet, on the other side of it, we look back and see how perfectly timed it was. We see how disaster was avoided, how pain was minimized, how a bigger storm was bypassed because of that one disruption. God is not random. Every move He makes is intentional. When something interrupts your flow, don't be so quick to call it failure. Sit with it. Pray through it. Discernment. Many times, what feels like chaos is actually the covering of God in motion. He doesn't need our permission to protect us, but He does desire our trust. So if your path has been disrupted, if something suddenly fell apart, if a plan didn't go through, if you feel like everything was going right and then it wasn't, pause, breathe, step back from the panic and remember this truth. When God blocks a way, He's building a better one. He's not just saving you from something. He's saving you for something. You are not being punished. You are being preserved. Let that truth settle in your spirit. Divine disruptions are not the end of the story. They're the turning point towards something greater. Trust the detour. God's protection may not look like what you expected, but it is exactly what you need. There is a kind of inner stirring that words can't explain. A subtle discomfort, a quiet unease, a feeling deep in your soul that something isn't right. You may not have the facts. Nothing on the outside might appear dangerous. But inside, your spirit knows that's not anxiety, that's not fear. That is often the voice of God gently alerting you, prompting you to pause, slow down, or turn away. When God is about to shield you from danger, one of the first signs is that He awakens your inner senses. He stirs your spiritual awareness, because sometimes the greatest threats aren't visible. They're spiritual. We are used to responding to what we can see, hear, or touch. But God doesn't just speak through the obvious. He communicates through the quiet tug on the heart, the sudden loss of peace, or the growing heaviness you can't explain. You may be surrounded by people who don't understand it. They may tell you to ignore it, to push forward, to stop overthinking. But you can't shake it. You feel unsettled. That is not something to be dismissed. It is something to be discerned. When God speaks to your spirit, it's not always in dramatic moments. It's often in the stillness, in prayer, or even in the middle of a routine day. That nudging that tells you to wait a little longer before making a decision. That caution that holds you back from going somewhere. That sudden alertness in your soul when you were about to say yes. That could be divine protection whispering to your heart. God doesn't always shout. He often whispers, and those whispers carry the weight of warning. It's easy to brush off those internal signals, to chalk them up to nerves or second guessing. But the more you grow spiritually, the more you begin to realize that God often speaks first through your spirit before anything is revealed in the natural. Pay attention to that inner restlessness. Sometimes your spirit is reacting to what your eyes can't see yet. And if you follow that leading, you'll often find that God was steering you away from a snare, keeping you one step ahead of harm. It's not paranoia. It's protection. Trust it. There are moments in life when things begin to change and it feels as though everything is being rearranged. Relationships fade, opportunities vanish, and connections break apart. At first, it might seem like misfortune or loss. You may even feel rejected, as though the very things you thought would bring you joy and success are being pulled from your grasp. But there is something incredibly powerful happening in those moments. God is removing what isn't meant for you, preparing you for something far greater. While you might experience temporary grief over what you've lost, don't mistake that for failure. Instead, recognize it as divine protection in motion. We often look at relationships, situations, or opportunities as though they are permanent parts of our lives. We invest time, energy, and emotions into them, assuming they will last forever. But what we often fail to realize is that God sees beyond what we see. He knows when a relationship is toxic, when a situation is unhealthy, or when an opportunity will ultimately lead to harm rather than growth. So when God removes something or someone from your life, it is not punishment, it is preservation. It's not always easy to understand why certain people fade away or why things that seem perfect fall apart. The emotions that follow can be overwhelming. You may wonder if you made a mistake or if you did something wrong. But in reality, God is sparing you from potential heartache, disappointment, or even destruction. He knows what lies ahead. What people or circumstances could cause you harm in ways you cannot yet comprehend. God's redirection is often painful, but it is necessary. He doesn't want to leave you in situations that will compromise your peace, your future, or your calling. We must learn to trust that God's timing and removal are for our good. Sometimes we try to hold on to things that God has already decided are not meant for us. His love for us is so great that He will not allow us to walk into a situation or an opportunity that could bring lasting harm. His protection is seen in His ability to close doors when we don't understand why they were ever open. So when something or someone is removed from your life, instead of mourning what was lost, take a moment to reflect on what God is preparing for you. Trust that He is clearing the way for something better, something that will align with His plan for your life, and something that will ultimately bring you closer to your purpose. Recognize that every divine removal is a divine provision. God's protection often comes in the form of closing a door we might have otherwise walked through. Embrace that closed door, because on the other side He has something more beautiful in store for you. It may not be immediately clear, but as you move forward, you will begin to see the wisdom in God's decision, and you will look back in gratitude for His loving care. There are times in life when we feel like we are on the verge of something great, only to find ourselves suddenly stalled or delayed. Perhaps it's a career opportunity that seems to fall through, or a dream you've worked toward that suddenly stalls. At first, the waiting feels excruciating. We tend to associate delays with defeat, thinking that we've missed our chance or that we've been overlooked. But in truth, What feels like a delay is often a divine protection at work. God knows exactly when the time is right for us to move forward, and sometimes He uses the waiting period to shield us from danger or hardship we can't see. While we might see a delay as an obstacle or setback, God sees it as an opportunity to protect us. He knows that some doors, no matter how promising they seem, are not meant to open just yet. In those moments of waiting, God is not punishing us or leaving us in limbo. He's strategically positioning us, allowing us to grow in patience, wisdom, and trust, while also keeping us safe from potential harm. The delay might feel frustrating, but it is not a rejection. It is divine preparation, ensuring that when the right time comes, we will be ready, not just to walk through the door, but to thrive on the other side. In moments of delay, it's essential to trust that God's timing is always perfect. While we might feel anxious, wondering if we missed our chance, God is never late. His delays are not denials. They are often divine opportunities for our protection and spiritual growth. There are circumstances we may not be able to see, dangers we may not be able to anticipate, and divine connections we may not yet be prepared for. But God, in His infinite wisdom, knows exactly what we need when we need it. Trusting in His timing means trusting in His ability to shield us from potential harm, keeping us out of situations that may not serve our ultimate purpose. It's important to remember that God's plan for us is far greater than our own. While we can only see the moment in front of us, He sees the entire picture. Delays are not detours. They are divinely orchestrated moments that guide us into His perfect will. When we choose to trust Him during these waiting times, we are not only protecting our peace, but also preparing ourselves for the blessings ahead. So instead of viewing delays with frustration, try to see them through the lens of divine protection, knowing that God is keeping you safe and aligning everything for your highest good. There are times when you feel an overwhelming urge to pray, fast, or simply seek God's guidance, even when everything seems fine on the surface. This sudden spiritual burden often goes unnoticed by those around you, who may think you're just being overly cautious or even paranoid. But when God is about to shield you from danger, one of the most powerful signs is that you begin to feel an intense, almost unexplainable spiritual urgency. Your heart feels drawn to spend more time in prayer, your spirit stirs more frequently, and you sense that something is just not quite right. It's a heightened sensitivity to the spiritual realm, where God is preparing you for something He knows is coming, something you cannot see, but He can. This internal tug doesn't always make sense in the natural world. You might find yourself praying for people or situations that seem unrelated to anything you are currently facing. Perhaps God is warning you about someone you haven't yet met or about a decision you haven't even considered. The Spirit will prompt you, often in ways that go beyond your understanding, calling you to spiritual action to align yourself with God's will and to prepare for what lies ahead. This feeling is not random. It is divine intervention, an alert in your spirit that God is positioning you for protection, strength, or clarity before a trial or danger. When you feel this sudden spiritual burden, don't ignore it or brush it aside as just a fleeting emotion. It is a reminder that God cares deeply about your safety and your future. His Spirit is leading you into prayer, into fasting, or into a deeper level of intimacy with Him, not because you are in immediate danger, but because He is preparing you to face what is coming. This kind of divine stirring equips you spiritually, providing you with the wisdom and strength to navigate difficult times, even if they seem far off. What may seem like a random burden to pray or act may actually be the Holy Spirit urging you to step into the protective covering of God's presence. God's protection doesn't always come in the form of an immediate visible shield. It often comes through spiritual preparedness, through increasing your sensitivity to His guidance, and through aligning your heart with His purpose. When you feel the urge to pray, to seek Him more intently, do so with the understanding that God is preparing you for something greater. Trust that His promptings are His way of equipping you for what lies ahead, and that in doing so, He is shielding you from dangers you are yet unaware of. When life is chaotic and everything around you is shifting, there is a peace that rises within you that defies all understanding. While others around you may be filled with worry, anxiety, or fear about the uncertain future, you find yourself inexplicably calm. This peace isn't the result of your circumstances. It's not something the world can offer. It is the peace of God, the supernatural tranquility that covers your mind and heart, even in the midst of life's storms. It is one of the most profound signs that God is actively shielding you from danger. In moments of uncertainty or crisis, it's easy to be swept up in the chaos. Fear can quickly consume you and doubt can cloud your thoughts. But when God's protection is at work, He often grants you a peace that doesn't make sense. You might be facing a challenging situation, a difficult decision, or an overwhelming season of life. But inside, you remain anchored. The chaos may rage on outside, but within you, there's a stillness that can only be explained by divine intervention. This peace is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of God in the midst of it. It's a sign that God has already stepped in and is covering you, even when the world around you seems unstable. People may wonder how you can stay so calm, how you can move forward with such assurance when everything else is falling apart. The answer lies in knowing that God has already prepared a place of protection for you in the storm. His peace is a shield around your mind, preventing worry and fear from overwhelming you. When you experience this supernatural peace, it's important to recognize it for what it is: God's direct intervention in your life. It is His way of telling you that you are not alone, that He is with you, and that He is keeping you safe. It is a reassurance that no matter what dangers lie ahead, He will not leave you. This peace is not something you can generate on your own. It is a gift from God, a sign of His presence and His protection. So when everything around you seems chaotic, hold fast to that peace. Know that it is a shield, a sign that God is already at work, covering you and keeping you from harm.